The Joy Perspective, the podcast where I share life's challenges, things I've learned through years of personal development, and help others shift their perspective and find their joy. I'm Lauren Valdez, and together we'll dive into how changing the way we think can unlock possibilities, spark creativity, and transform the everyday. Let's dive in. Welcome to today's episode of The Joy Perspective. Today we are talking about the word diligence. And for the next couple weeks, I'm going to choose a word and talk about how that word can help bring joy into our lives. Today we're going to talk about diligence. And I want to talk about what diligence isn't, as well as what diligence is. So diligence is not rigid, exhausting, soul-sucking hustle. And oftentimes we find ourselves in those modes. But if we stopped and paused and asked ourselves, are we being diligent in those times? Most of us would say, no, we're not being diligent. We're hustling. What diligence is a steady, compassionate practice of showing up with your heart. It's showing up with care. And I want to read a quote that I read that really stood out to me and really pulled on my heartstrings. So let's hear it right now. We can say and make ourselves actually believe the lie that care is not required to complete a task. However, the person who does care and delights in the task completes it in a way that displays the character of God. And isn't that the point of our work? That it would produce in us and in others a character that imitates the one who made us? Maybe that's why our work feels so hard pressed and so much like work. We try to do and give and exert energy while separating our heart from it. That's not diligence. That's automation, robotic attention, without the assertion of care. Care requires our heartstrings, and that's what he's after. It really stood out to me because I do often find myself going into automation. I do often find myself, I'm a hard worker, I'm a hustler, I've grown up my whole life with this drive. But just because I hustle doesn't mean I'm diligent. When we're diligent and intentional on something, the joy and the care get brought into it. We find more purpose in our work. We find more joy in our work. And so the reason that I chose the word diligence is because I see it all around me. I see it in coworkers. I see it in friends. I see it in busy mamas. We are so hard on ourselves to accomplish and achieve and complete and get the laundry done and make sure the kids are always smiling and happy and they have healthy snacks and that our work is top notch, and we put all this pressure on us. But a lot of the times it comes down to how diligent are we being? How intentional with our work? And are we bringing that care into our work? The joy comes from knowing you're aligned, not perfect, but intentional and diligent. And that's where we lose a lot of that joy, is when we're not bringing in diligence, intentionality, care to what we're doing. And it is, in my opinion, the difference between grinding and growing. When we're diligent in the work that we're doing, we're growing. We're thoughtful about it. We're caring about it versus just grinding. And I know the word burnout has been a popular word for a long time now. But I really, truly believe, from the personal development that I've done, from the readings that I've done, from studies that I've read, the burnout comes from the grinding. It comes from the hustling. It comes from the lack of diligence, which is why I chose this word to start this series on. The word diligence brings in your heart, your intentions, your care, and a big part of it is purpose. When we're doing something with purpose, how is there burnout? Think about that. The burnout comes because we don't have purpose, because we don't have diligence in our work. So if we stay centered and grounded in doing the things that we do with diligence, bringing in care and thoughtfulness and intentionality to it, we avoid that burnout. We avoid feeling like our wheels are spinning. We know that what we're doing matters. We're doing it with care. We're doing it with intentionality. In preparing for this episode, I thought about where can we use diligence in? Where are practical, real life examples of when we need to use diligence? And I'll tell you a few. We need to use diligence in healing, in mending a relationship, or in healing after losing someone. We have to be diligent and intentional in that. Diligence in creativity. Think about when you're doing a project. If you've ever had that creativity spark in you, you're doing it with so much care. You're doing it with so much joy. You're being very diligent in it. But our creativity is often stifled when we don't have that diligence in it. Relationships require diligence. When you're interacting with another human being, there's so much on the other side of that relationship. There's so much that individual is going through, feeling, experiencing, past, future, all of it. There's so much bundled up in that one person. Relationships require so much diligence, so much care, so much intentionality. Rest, even. If you are listening to this and you are a friend of mine, I'm going to challenge you to reach out to me and remind me to be diligent in my rest. Because out of all of these areas that I've just mentioned, I feel like that is the one that I lack the most diligence in, is in rest. I'm not bringing in the care and the heart or intentionality into the rest that I have. But we need it. We need to be intentional with that. We need to be diligent in that. Diligence is not about doing more. It's really not. It's about staying true. And sometimes diligence actually means we have to say no to certain things. Because when we're being diligent about our time, you'll notice you're bringing in care and you're bringing thoughtfulness into it. And it will stop you from just saying, yes, sure, I can do that. And sometimes the answer is still going to be, yes, sure, I can do that. Because that is true and that aligns with who you are and what your purpose in it is. But diligence will also reveal to you when you need to say no, when you need to take a step back with your time. I want to leave you with a few things and really encourage you to sit down and ask yourself some of these questions so that you can start to think about in what areas do you need to bring in more diligence. So the first question is, what does diligence mean to you in this season of life? What does diligence mean to you in this season of life? We're going to go through seasons of life and it's going to change. So right now, ask yourself, what does it mean for you in this season of life? Where have I been showing up with quiet consistency, even if no one else sees it? That to me rings a bell on where are you aligned? Showing up and being diligent, showing up quietly and consistently means that's something that's true to you. That's something that's aligned with you. What would it look like to pursue diligence from a place of love and not fear? You know, I had a conversation with a coworker recently, and the theme of not wanting to get fired or the theme of not wanting to do a bad job kept coming up. And it's a real fear. You can be diligent from a place of fear, right? Because you're fearful of your job. So you're going to bring in care and intentionality. But what would it look like if you pursue diligence from a place of love? What if that person was bringing in the love of what they do to their work? I do actually think two things can exist at the same time. I think there can be a diligence in fear, right? We do a good job at our work because we don't want to get fired. But also, are you bringing in the love and the care in the work that you're doing? And how can I bring joy into the practice, not just the outcome? This is one for me. How can I bring joy into the practice, not just the outcome? I'm very goal oriented. I'm very focused on this one thing that I want to achieve. But what about the practice? What about the journey through it? How can I bring joy into that? I hope that as you focus more on diligence, you find yourself being more thoughtful and bringing in more care into the work that you do. Your steady effort is done with love and is changing things, even if you can't see it yet. So show up, find the joy, and keep being diligent. Thank you for joining me today on The Joy Perspective. I hope this episode helped you shift your mindset and find a little bit more joy in your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss one. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at @meetlaurenvaldez for more inspiration and updates. I'd love to hear your thoughts and connect with you. Until next time, keep shifting your perspective and finding your joy.